Ding, 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 ding. What's up, guys? Holy crapalola. I am so excited to be on the mic right now. Nikki and I haven't recorded together at the same time since she came to visit me like 2 months ago.
Was it 2 months?
Like almost a little less than. It was at the beginning of August.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Nuts.
Insane. Wow.
Insane. Time has been moving insanely fast. It's crazy. And also like slow. It's weird. But anyways, because of that, we're freaking pumped to be on the mic today. A little life update. Both Nikki and I have been doing some travels. We have been traversing the planet. We have been traversing our psyche.
Truly.
It's been a wild ride. Nikki had an incredible trip. She was globetrotting, went to visit some family, and then you went to Europe. You went to Lisbon. You were just in Lisbon when you were in Europe. Oh, no, we went to Brussels too. You went to Brussels and you were hanging out with your hubby's family. That looked incredible. I don't know if you want to add anything about your time there. It looked incredible. We're going to be graced with a vlog about that trip sometime soon, right?
Yeah, I took a lot of content. I was in Brussels and then I flew over to Portugal for the first time ever. I've never been to that country. And Peter and I were just scoping out some places that we're going to potentially route down in the near future. And we were discovering just like where our heart was calling us in Portugal. And we went to Ericeira, which ended up being a really, I don't know, it was like a magnetic moment for me where I felt super called to this one location. And it was just like the most perfect, beautiful place ever. And then we traveled more south of Lisbon. We went to Comporta, which is like the Hamptons of Portugal. And it was so fucking stunning. Like you don't really live there year round though. It's more of like a vacation spot. And it was beautiful, like very luxurious down there. I had an incredible time. I fell in love with Lisbon. Like the city is just so fucking epic. The restaurant scene is so beautiful. And I love Portugal because there's just so many people moving there from all over the world. So you walk into a restaurant, like everyone's speaking a different language and you don't really feel like an outcast because you're not speaking Portuguese, but it was beautiful. I had an incredible time.
So cool. I love it. I need to go to Portugal. I only stopped through there at the Lisbon airport on my way back from Ibiza. But wow, that's amazing. And yeah, my travels were, the timing was crazy. It was like Nikki went on her like 3 weeks thing. And then right as you got back, I left for my trip. So it was like a weird time of just being like very off schedule and with the time changes and everything. But yeah, I went to Ibiza, which was incredible. Such a stunning place. We were sailing there. We actually flew into another island in the Balearics called Majorca and then sailed to Ibiza, and we were there for 2 weeks. It was so fucking beautiful. That place is incredible. It's an energy vortex.
Oh, it is?
I think, supposedly. Yeah, it's like one of the strongest magnetic vortexes, apparently. And there's like a lot of mysticism and like folklore, I guess you would call it, around Ibiza. And there's these 2 little islands off of it called Esvedra. And those are like the hot spot point of these like ley lines basically that are like cause the heightened magnetism there. And if you like anchor your boat there, like the anchor line will like spiral, like can kind of get all twisted. And like it's like sometimes in certain Sedona hike vortexes you'll see like trees and stuff grow in a spiral. Like it's really weird.
I call them the twisties.
Yeah. So that's funny. So yeah, it's beautiful island. Everything about it was incredible. Like it is so luscious and stunning. The water was like, bright blue. The food was incredible, like great hikes. There's a really big like wellness and conscious scene there in addition to the obvious thing that's known, which is the clubbing. But we mainly did like ocean, like beach activities and going to like all the calas and the restaurants and stuff. It was dope. I loved it. And I also was having like a very inward experience of, it was like one of those things where your outward reality is like doing its thing. And then you're also going on a whole trip within you. And it was a very interesting state of being to be in with all the astrological events happening. which was kind of cool because almost like I didn't have time to like fully sit and process them because I was just like with people and family and on a trip. So I just was like going with the flow and just sort of gently observing all the things happening within me. But I definitely feel like there was a huge timeline shift. And when I flew back, I landed and was like, we're in a different timeline now.
Yeah.
Like, it was crazy. The trip itself felt like a vortex. Like it was 2 weeks and it felt much longer than that.
Because you didn't come back as the same person.
No, I did not.
Shit be changing around here.
Yeah. Maybe it was that magnetic vortex. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, also the Pisces full moon was pretty insane. And you were still away for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like big
so
shifts.
Yeah, that's our little personal update. There will be vlogs coming of each of those trips, which I'm pumped about. We should have a vlog from your visit here coming out soon. And it's great. So that's our little personal update for those of you that like to know what's happening in our worlds. And for today's episode, we wanted to do a energy update and energy reading on this season that we're going into, which is basically marked by the equinox and the turn of the seasons, either fall or spring, depending on which hemisphere you're on. And just overall, there's a shift. And I mean, this whole year we've been kind of working up to, we're just getting closer and closer to this idea of like the new paradigm shift, which a lot of people are pinning on the year of 2027. And overall, it's no question that there's been a huge change in the collective consciousness. We talk about it all the time. And if you're here listening to this podcast, you are a piece of that. You're a piece of the new earth. So we felt really called to do kind of an energetic check-in on what to expect, what is collectively happening, even, aligning with the astrological events. We have become really fond of learning more about astrology, basically, because in our community we do these new moon circles. We're actually going to be adding in full moon circles too. More to come on that, but we have found it to be really empowering to work with that energy because, I mean, a lot of the times what we're feeling individually, especially when you're tapped into the collective rising consciousness, is aligned with the planetary movements. And it just would make sense that as beings that are connected to all things, in whatever environment you live in, you're going to pay attention to the nature and its seasons. And that's happening on an even bigger scale in our planetary system. So we're excited to dive into that. It's going to be a mix of channeled in real time and also things that Nikki and I have been feeling and talking through, things that we have picked up from our community, from the OOOMIEs, from you, the listener. And I'm excited to chat. I don't know if anything else you want to preface that with before we dive into what to expect for the next few months. And honestly, anytime you listen to this moving into the future, it's very related to just like new paradigm energy updates and dynamics.
Yeah, I don't have anything else besides that. I feel like that covers it all. I'm excited to get into the reading.
Okay, cool. You want to start by sharing the cards that you pulled? I feel like those could be a good jumping off point.
Sure. Let me get them so I can show them.
Okay. I love this deck. We should tag the deck. I don't know if you already did in our newsletter, but if not, we should put it in the newsletter.
Yeah, so these are my inner compass cards. I've been using them for the past, I want to say 3 years.
Oh,
Sasha
wow.
actually got me these on my birthday, like many years ago. I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago. So these are the 4 cards that I pulled: open doors, purity, authenticity, and teamwork. I'll show you down here.
Perfect. Wow.
And I was just telling Bella, it feels like the next few months I keep hearing like it's go time. And it's really time to take things to the next level with us purifying our channels and becoming clear conduits for love. And I'm going to break this down further because I know that can feel a little vague. So we all know that the elections are coming up in November. And from an outside perspective, it feels like even just not being so in the political game, it feels like there's a big shift that's going to occur, whether we're involved in that or not. And what Bella and I have been discussing is that leadership during these next few months it's definitely at the forefront of my mind, and I would probably guess at Bella's too. And with this leadership over the next few months, there's going to be a choice that we all have of choosing love over fear. And it's so tempting with all of the divide and things that are happening in the political world to lean into fear and to lean into judgment and to fall back into old paradigm ways of thinking when there's so much old paradigm chaos in front of us. So when I pulled this card around purity, the first thing that came to mind for me was taking things up a level with us becoming clear conduits for love. And now more than ever, the importance of this is like right in all of our faces. Because the temptation to fall back into fear is going to be right in our face. And the leadership of who you're being asked to show up as during these times is going to shine through when you're able to lean into love over fear, especially over these next few months. And these other cards, authenticity, teamwork, open doors. I feel like it goes in that order too.
Crazy.
When I feel into this authenticity card, it's everything that we talk about on this podcast. Like, authenticity is when you show up in the deepest level of just being, allowing yourself to soften into who you truly are. And that's stripping away the programming, stripping away the fears, and just allowing yourself to sink into a state of beingness. And that authenticity is healing. So just like purifying yourself allows love to come through, and it helps during this time with everything that's happening and will be happening. It sends out a really potent energy to the collective that allows for beautiful shifts. Authenticity is also up there with that. Your authenticity heals. And allowing yourself to embrace who you truly are, the uniqueness of who you are. And this is going to be a big theme I feel like we're going to talk about more on upcoming episodes, is allowing yourself to see the beauty that you hold as an individual, and embracing that is going to send out a permission slip to everyone else, a healing permission slip, a permission slip to be, that's going to allow for big shifts as well. So with this teamwork card, we've been feeling into big themes of collaboration. And I know I'm like bouncing all over here. We're going to get into detail within all of this. Collaboration is a part of the new paradigm. And over these next few months, we're going to be asked to come together in new ways that we have yet to really embrace in our past. We're coming from old paradigm ways of thinking where competition was at the forefront, and teamwork is going to be a huge thing over these next few months. Collaboration, teamwork, community, seeing people in their gifts, embracing people in their gifts, embracing people in their authenticity. And I've been feeling into teamwork ever since we started this business partnership, because we have seen the magic of what happens when you have other people in your world supporting you, and you're not meant to do this alone. This is why I'm obsessed with the OOOMIE's Oasis community. Like, the fact that we can get on these calls monthly and see people in their magic and in their authenticity and in their healing is so potent. And then this last card of open doors. There's big shifts coming. I can feel it. We can all feel it. We've all been talking about it. And the biggest message that's coming through my channel right now is that sometimes it has to get worse before it gets better. And these doors that are going to be opening for those that are choosing the love over fear. There's going to be doors for everyone, but the doors that are going to feel good for people are going to be the doors that are opening for those that choose the love over fear. So this is what just like came through when I was pulling these cards. And now I want to kind of like tie this all together and make it a little bit more cohesive. This is the time for us to recognize that if you are listening to this podcast right now, you are at the forefront of the wave of awakening. You have already gone through an awakening, whether it have been a few months ago, a year ago, 2020, there was a huge wave. And this next wave of awakening is going to require us to step up as leaders that embody the frequency of love and teamwork and authenticity and unity and all of these things that we talk about all the time. Now is the time to embody that and to be the person that is in the room full of people stressing about a political thing, and you are sitting there as the embodiment of love and non-judgment and unity, and you are sending out a healing frequency to, like how we were talking about before, the Thanksgiving table that you're sitting at. Mm-hmm. And I look down at these 4 cards and I just see a message from this higher power for us to really own our path, our uniqueness, and to be okay with being the outcast in a room, because you being the outcast and sending out a different vibration is going to be what is needed during this time. And it's also what you've been preparing for the past few years. You didn't go through all of this inner healing work and doing all this shadow work for nothing. You did this to prepare yourself to become a pure conduit for love so that you could be the embodiment of that energy and of that authenticity. And you can send out that vibration in a time when it is going to be needed. When I'm saying it has to get worse to get better, there's going to be a shakeup. And in moments of being shaken up, we need the people that are going to ground us and elevate us. And if you're listening to this podcast, you're one of those people, truly. And this is a really big theme that Bella and I have been feeling into just ever since the Pisces full moon, when things kind of took a switch of like, okay, we were doing the shadow work. It's like, holy crap, we all have a very divine purpose. And we have been feeling into the depth of what that purpose is for us individually, but also as a unit with this podcast and with this community. And there's a reason you've been on this awakening journey. There's a reason you've been doing all this work. And now is the time that we're like going out there with our armor on, and we're not fighting, we're not dividing, we're sending out the vibration. And in order to send out the vibration, it takes us leaning into our own embodiment journey. And it's time to level up for the collective. It's like we're leveling up, but not just for us, where in the past it was more like, okay, I need to do this for myself. I need to prove that, like, not prove, but I need to feel into the knowing that I'm enough and whole and like show myself that I can do this. But now it's like you're doing it for the bigger purpose, the bigger mission. So that's where my head's at with all of this. It's really beautiful for you guys to hear this as well, because I think everyone's needing a reminder that like your energy heals and is needed during this time. And if you have been feeling called to step up as a leader, I know there's a shadow aspect of that, of feeling like an outcast when you're in a room or when you're with a group of people, or maybe you feel like you're alone, or you've gone through the fire of feeling like, just like an outcast. I don't know how else to describe that. But the reason you went through that is to step up as a leader, because you were not meant to feel like one with. You were meant to stand out so that you could lead this entire shift that's about to happen. We need the leaders. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and guess that if you're listening to this, you're most likely a leader. So leadership, that's a big theme. Yeah.
Holy crap. I was just like fully receiving all of that, because sheesh. Yeah, I think what's so interesting about this leadership piece is in this new era and new paradigm, a lot of this inner work that we've done to prepare us for this has been to help us understand that like there's also a need for, we are using language and words that in the old paradigm meant one thing and now mean something else.
Yep.
And this is where, because we did all the work, and it's not that the work is done, it's always a journey, but you saying the word leadership, now you as a listener, you get to hear that. You get it to land on your eardrums. You get to pay attention to every story and thing that comes up about what you make that mean. And if you feel a calling to be a leader, you're going to notice that there's an old way and an old story and a brainwashing, basically, that was taught to you maybe about, that a leader means this or that, currently in our old systems, we don't have a lot of good leaders. We don't have a lot of good heart-led people. And so that made an association that it's a lack game and it's a zero-sum game, that for you to lead means that you're stepping on people. But that's not what it means in the new paradigm. And that's where being a heart-led leader is understanding what that really means, and that it's not a zero-sum game, and that we all are leading in a different way. And it's like we get a narrow focus on a leader is a person who literally stands on a stage in front of a podium and like gives a speech and like corrals the people. And it's like, that's one version of leading. Another version of leading is being the one person in your community or friend group that is a genius at making sweaters and then goes and leads the charge on that creative pursuit and is leading by the example of their authenticity. And there's room for everyone. There really is. And that's where like we start to understand that it is a true service to step into whatever role that you're called to. And there's also people who want to be led. There's people who are literally looking for guides, and they are doing that from a place of high consciousness. We are both leaders, and I also like to be led in other areas of my life, that I see somebody else's genius and I want them to guide me. Yeah. And so that is the meaning of this. And that's where we're being invited to look with neutrality at the shadows. This is the other huge thing that's been happening this year and is now ramping up even more, where the crumbling and the things falling apart is happening faster and is happening for us, for our best interest, because we are now beings that are big enough to hold the shadow and the light, and to understand that the presence of shadows does not negate the presence of light. It actually indicates that there is light, and it is a path forward to what we want to build. And that's why people are alluding to this idea of like the next wave of awakening happening. I don't know through what, whether it's through just specifically the election happening in the US and the heightened, all things heightening through that, or if there's something else sort of coming, and not in like something's coming, just in like things are just happening and shifting, and nature goes through seasons and like things shift and whatever. And so as those things unfold, like that's where we're seeing the pieces that we don't want to carry forward with us, and they crumble to make space for the new. Like the building is not good anymore because it was built on a shitty foundation. You want that building to show cracks, because then you say, oh, we should probably tear this down and take notes on what worked and what didn't work, and build a new building that is much better and has a very secure foundation. And the only way to do that effectively is to look at the shadows. And we've mastered that on a micro level so that we can get really good at it on a macro level. And that, I think, is why there's this like quickening of the timelines and of fate. And as we're in this eclipse season, that's what eclipses are. They're a quickening of fate. They show us light and shadow at the same time, and they move our 3D parts in a way to expose all truth. And I think it's that ability to stretch what we thought we could do And that's, I think, when you're saying like it's go time, it's not like a go time of like just do more blindly. It's like a go time of like putting all the pieces together and taking them to the next level, where everything you said about purifying your intentions and being of service and honoring yourself and being authentic and all of it, like you're taking all of it up to a new level because you're ready and because the collective needs it. And it's truly like now is the time that we've been preparing for it. Like you did the work for a reason. You were called to it for a divine reason. You were guided through all of it. Every single dark night that you went through, every ebb and flow and peak and valley was all divine to get you to this point where you've been preparing for it, and the reward comes. It does. And it's like, that is the cycles of nature, and there is the shedding and the expansion, and we're understanding that on a huge level now, and we're embodying it. And that's what this next thing is really about. And that's why like all these themes are coming up around, you know, looking at the shadows, not being able to hide anymore from the darkness or whatever it is that wants to be looked at, is like you're ready and you're capable of doing it. And then you doing that is what makes you a master at it to help other people to do it in whatever way, shape, or form, whether that's just through your authentic being, that is just an energetic signal that gets sent out, or is through the literal work that you do in your job as a mother or a father or a sibling or a community leader or whatever it might be. Like it's all being infused into what we do. And there's more like understanding of like, oh, I get why I've been doing this. Like I feel like people are going to see the movie of their life come together, and you're going to see, oh, I've literally been divinely held this whole time. Like I really am capable of this. I really am whole. And you're like, okay, great. Now I understand things. So that's the purity of your intentions and like the cleaning up of your consciousness that then allows you to pour that into all the other things that you do.
Oh, I love these conversations because I just get even more clarity as I'm listening to you. And what you said about like the quickening of like the eclipse season and the quickening of the shadow and understanding it and being able to transmute it. What I'm receiving is like now is the time to see, and I love how you said the movie of your life is going to like make sense and you're going to see it come together, because now is the time to look at what you deemed as like a shadow, and it was a shadow, to see the gift in that. Because you were divinely brought through these experiences in life that may have been painful at the time, but they were a key pillar in you stepping into the leader that you are today. So if you went through trauma in life where you felt not enough or not whole, it's because you were meant to experience that deep contrast so that you could step into the wholeness of who you are and remember the wholeness of who you are and realize you don't have to become anything than just more of who you are in the present moment, so that you could then lead. And when I say lead, I'm right there with you. It's like there's the old paradigm way of leading where it was like very like me focused and more about power. And I'm saying power is like the old paradigm way of power. There's also like new and old paradigms when it comes to power. But leadership, what I'm feeling into is just the willingness to embody a higher energy or something that is going to allow for a transformation in someone else. And it doesn't necessarily need to be you being a leader through creating a product or a service or launching a business. You are a leader every single time you step into a social gathering where there's an embodiment of a specific energy amongst the collective, and you are choosing to embody what you know as a deeper truth. And it can be as simple as that. And we overlook that form of leadership so often because the old paradigm didn't highlight the power and the strength in that. But now all of the I'm going to use the word traumas here, but you guys are understanding what I'm saying. Like all of the experiences that brought the shadows out the traumatic experiences that really rocked you and shook you and caused that emotional response of feeling unloved or not powerful or not wanted or not accepted or not whole or not enough or not capable, whatever it was, those experiences literally shaped you into the being with the level of consciousness that you're at to turn that upside down into a very powerful gift. And when you think about stepping into this next chapter and timeline that we're in right now, there really is no stepping into. We're already here. It's about the embodiment now.
Yeah.
It's about taking that, turning it upside down, realizing the power that you hold. And when I say power, I'm meaning like the strength and the abilities you hold as pure consciousness, to turn that into the gift and to remember your wholeness. So when you're in a room of people that are forgetting it, you stand as the embodiment of that, not in a preaching type of way, just the embodiment. And yeah, maybe leadership does involve you sharing your voice and actually being a teacher and sharing messages. Like I really resonate with that kind of leadership. Like, hence the mic in front of my face right now. But even that, like, it's not even about me. It's about the message that's coming through us that's meant to be shared. And when we own who we are and we gain the confidence to just, I want to actually talk about this. I'm going to take a step back. There's a really beautiful conversation around getting out of your own way and making it less about you that leads to a beautiful up level in your confidence. And confidence is something that can ebb and flow. I definitely experienced that in my own journey where there are months where I'm feeling very tapped in, and then you'll go a little bit into the shadow and maybe you'll visit some of those fear-based thoughts and doubt. But the basis of all of that, it really starts to grow the confidence, and you start to kind of like unveil it when you recognize that it's not really about you, but it kind of is. So there's a paradox that exists here. When you're posting on Instagram to share your gifts, you're posting whatever it is you're sharing, or maybe you created something that you're selling, because the energy that is in that creation is transmuted to someone in the collective or to a group of people in the collective. And it's a ripple effect of love or whatever the energy is that you're infusing your creation with. And when we recognize this, we allow ourselves to become the conduits for whatever wants to come through us and into our creation. And we get out of our own way. It's no longer about being confident with like who we are as people, because it doesn't even matter. It's just the beingness of who you are, creating something that is meant to be shared with the collective. And it's no longer about proving yourself by the amount of likes you have or the amount of followers you have or however many listeners you get on a video or a podcast episode. It's about the impact and being of service with the energy that you are embodying. Is this landing the way that I'm communicating it?
Yeah, I can add more about
it feels a little bit scattered in my head because it's more of a visual that I'm getting, but I'm curious what's coming through for you.
Yeah. It's such a cool paradox to think about. It's not about you, but it's also about you, because what that means is, this is actually the very simple way to explain it. Going inward is the starting point for a lot of people to awaken their genius and to return back to service, because as you dig this hole and you go in and you're doing, the anatomy of yourself and you're discovering, you're looking at all the parts, you end up getting to this seed. And then you're like, holy shit, that's the entire universe in the palm of my hand.
Yeah.
And that was inside me. That was me. And then that's why you look at that and you're like, oh, I am this whole universe. The whole universe is me. I am another you. I am an expression of infinite intelligence. That revelation, when you feel it, is why you then are picking up all these tools and wisdom and expertise and experiences through the experience of being an individual. And this is an age of both individualism. It actually is an age of individualism because the collectivism was like rooted in an ego of self-sacrificing for others. But this is understanding that when you get back to the truest, most pure essence of who you are, you know that that's a divine thing. And so then that automatically shifts and falls. It makes everything fall into place of understanding your role and purpose in the bigger picture. And people go inward and they find this love for themselves, and they find this like crystal of consciousness that has been living in them the whole time. And then they realize that the silly voice that is like, I can't do it. And what if this, you're like, oh my God, I don't need to give this credit anymore. I really don't, because it's not even your voice. It's literally not even yours. It's fucking projection and conditioning and brainwashing from society. And you understand that because you've gone back to the root of who you actually are and what that means. Every time we say who you actually are, like we are literally talking about the most profound definition, which is like consciousness and infinite intelligence and the divine. And when you realize that, then you have a very profound dissolving of the ego, which was convincing you to like self-sacrifice and not share your gifts, actually, arguably in a selfish way, because then you are not sharing your gift that others need. And so it circles back to a service and realizing it's not about the ego you. That's what that means. It's not about the illusion of yourself. It's about you in the truest essence of who you are, and putting back into the collective the gift that God and universal consciousness put into your being and that is attached to your soul, and putting that out into the world because it matters and is important. Mm-hmm. And it's not about you in the ego sense. And that's what you're reawakening to, because then individuation is actually a very powerful path toward being of service and toward being authentic and toward being a heart-led leader, because it is through that inward journey that we learn all the truths, because all of it was already inside. Like all of it comes back to that, because we realized that we didn't need the car or the money or the income or the partner or any of it to feel okay. We already had it. And then when you have that, that is the purity of your consciousness that then gets to go out through your authentic expression, through the way you dress, through the way you talk, through the way you sew, through the way you make dinner. You realize it's all just a medium for divine consciousness. And that's what we're remembering. That's what the new paradigm is we're like, oh, fuck, I am literally a walking vessel of divine love. Let me make my entire life a representation of that. And if I have to master the self-love and pump up my confidence and be like, I'm a fucking badass, so that I can get out of my own fucking way to do that, that is why you do it. And that is what this go time means. Is like the shadow comes up, fucking congratulations. This is amazing. Now you get to transmute it and also learn the beauty that this shadow is teaching you, that the trauma is teaching you, that whatever experience that your movie is showing you, because the movie is, you're the projector of the movie, it's showing you that so you can get out of the way and become back to who you are, of that pure consciousness.
Yeah. Oh, I felt like a wave of emotion as you were talking, because there's just so much truth in that. And I feel like this is the message. I'm so happy that we're making this episode, because this is the message that so many people need as just a reminder. And Bella and I were talking about this before the episode, but when you heal, let's say, a subconscious limitation around not being enough or not thinking that you're whole, there's so much that goes along with that connects to what we're discussing, because no longer are you creating, let's say, a piece of content for social media to feel enough, or you're striving to hit a certain follower count or income goal to then take one big deep breath and say, finally, I'm whole. This was the journey I was on. I'm finally whole, which actually doesn't happen when you get there, because you are always going to be feeling into the illusion of not being whole if that's what you believe about yourself. And when you do that shadow work and when you do that healing work, you feel into this deeper truth that there's no such thing as being incomplete. There's no such thing as not being enough, and that the fullness of who you are already exists in this moment right here. And this is what we're being asked to remember. This is why the healing work can feel quick these days, because the remembering is so needed that when you're in the shadow, it's like, ooh, there's a motive, there's an energy pushing you, being like, yup, this is what you're seeing. Is it true? No. Do you want to believe this? No. Do you want to let this go? Yes. What are you left with now? Holy crap, I'm fucking an infinite piece of consciousness that literally is the conduit for divinity and love at all times. And I can feel into that at any given moment, no matter how much money is in my bank account, no matter how many followers or whatever. I'm using these as an example because this is just like the top of mind stuff with the business that we're in. It's like none of that actually matters because you can give yourself permission to feel into the fullness of who you are in the present moment. And then the aftermath of that is creating from a full place where you're actually being of just pure service, giving out your gifts from the purity of your heart in a way that makes a bigger ripple effect. It has a bigger impact because I'm bringing up this card again around purity. It's purified. And through that, the doors open, like your opportunities open. We're so worried about opening the doors and figuring out how we're going to get to the end goal, when in reality, all we're being asked is to just clear and make room for what wants to come through so that you can send that outward. And I've been feeling into this another theme lately of just like clearing stuff out. If you've been getting that intuitive hit to like clean up your space, I want you to feel into this if it's resonating with you, because when we create space in our life, like I took a garbage bag yesterday and just was like, I have so many sweatshirts in my closet, sweatshirts that I do not wear, that someone else could be wearing and making use of. And like, how many freaking Birkenstock sandals do I need in all the different colors? So,
Oh my God, give me some. I want more Birks.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
I have a white pair that I actually am going to give away. I'll save them for you.
I would love.
I just opened my closet and was like, I'm going to donate this stuff. I don't need it. Like, it's just taking up space. So feel into where in your life there's a buildup that you're wanting to purify. And this can be internal. It can be in the body. It could be in your energetic field. It could be in your room, your office, your car. Like, clean that shit out. And even yesterday, I opened up my windows. I cleaned the whole house. I did laundry, and I was just like, whoa. I set some incense on fire in my room and burnt them out and let that smell just like totally clarify my space. And the ease that you feel after that, like, it just feels like you can have more clarity, more ideas are coming through. And I want you to think about this theme, but then expand it outward into like your energetic body and your internal being, and how you can start to purify that. If you've been getting the nudge to maybe like say goodbye to certain habits, I know we talked about this a lot with the Virgo new moon. Now's the time, because there's something that's wanting to move through all of us, and we need to create the space for that to move through. So yeah, I wanted to add that in here. And there was another thing that we were talking about before. Oh, with the confidence stuff, I had something else that I wanted to say. We think of confidence as something that needs to like be built upon, where you're like adding something to the mix. But invite yourself to shift that perspective and see it as a removing. And this goes hand in hand with what I was talking about purifying. It's also these doubts, these fears, these limiting perceptions. Just clear them away. You want to make space. I'm picturing like garbage floating on top of water, and you can just take your hands and brush it to the side and then collect it on the side. Just brush it out of the way. And it's not a striving for, okay, I need to like clench my fists and become confident and fight through this. It's like a softening. And even I feel that when I get on this mic and there's that voice in my head about like delivering in a certain way, or like saying something in a specific way, or relaying some sort of message that has to hit in a certain way, you let those thoughts be, and you just let them clear out. And with that, you sink into this like really relaxed state of being. And that is where your confidence lives. That's where your authenticity lives. That's where your purification process lives. And that's where you become that conduit. So take what resonated with you with this and maybe start cleaning your room right now.
Jordan Peterson was right. Clean your room.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That is very beautiful. The one other thing that was coming through was just like to trust yourself and listen to your guidance, because you know the intuitive hits that you're getting, the nudges, the vision that you have. Like, trust is a muscle that's built. It's both a decision and it's also a muscle within yourself, and that you build with the universe, that when you start to listen to the nudges, your intuition, your authority, using your strategy, all this stuff, you give yourself the strength to keep going and to oh my God, sorry, it was
What?
thunder. It scared the shit out of me.
Oh, it's raining there?
Yeah, it's raining and it's just thundered and lightning, and I was like so deep that I was like, wow, what the fuck was that? Sorry. Yeah, that you're ready to trust yourself, like, and just to like make the decision and believe in yourself, right? It sounds so cheesy and like a freaking Hallmark card, but it's like, you were made for this. You really can do this. And you also are not alone, both in the cosmic divine sense, but also like there are so many places to lean into. You have us, our community, like freaking, if you're feeling the call to invest in yourself and get a coach, like fucking do it. Like those are the big things that build that trust muscle and that send out the signals. And like, this is what it means to do the go time. Like, you want to lean in and do the shadow work, do it. You want to like start your YouTube channel and you want to learn how to be a creative fucking genius and whatever, and like do it and seek the resources. Like, it is all there for you and you're so ready. You're so ready. Like there's no question that you can do it, and it's just go and trust yourself. That's like the huge thing that's coming through, is just freaking trust that it's happening and you were made for this.
I'm having a visual of when you're a leader, your guidance comes from your own intuition, and you send out that guidance to other people in whatever area that you're leading in. But in order for you to even take on the guidance that you're receiving, you have to trust that guidance. And that starts with self-trust, because it comes from within, self with a capital S.
Yeah.
So embodying that leadership role, what you're saying goes hand in hand with that, because if you're not trusting your own guidance, I mean, now's the time. And I went to an astrologer / healer / intuitive the other day, and one of the biggest messages that she kept sharing with me is like, take your intuition more seriously.
Yeah.
And I know that can sound a little bit harsh, but it's the message I needed to hear. Because you guys are all powerful beings receiving powerful messages. We're all channels of beautiful wisdom. And when you just take that a little bit more seriously and lean into those intuitive nudges, that's where that leadership and really aligning yourself with that highest path is going to come into play, because that guidance is some of the most divine guidance you'll ever receive. And it's right there. It's right there. All you have to do is just trust it.
Yeah. Amen. Wow.
This just like activated the F out of me in like a very peaceful way. I can't even like describe the feeling I have now. It's like a powerful, peaceful activation.
I really feel you. I feel like this is the energy that we've both been talking about and stepping into, which is, it's crazy. The cards you pull are so accurate, because it's like, when you're motivated and fired up to get to work, but it's because you've purified your intentions and your inner self, it is such a different feeling than the motivation, which for sure has its time and place and is very important too for a period of motivation from like the trying to prove yourself, right? And now that's that feeling of like, oh, I want to pour my soul into this and every hour of my waking day, because I just am coming from love, and I just love it, and I just know that I'm meant to do this, and it will take what it takes, and I don't care what it is, because I'm willing to do it. And it's when you're coming from the whole place, it is such a different feeling. But definitely it's important to go through, if it's your path, to like feel sort of that opposite. Like it makes it even more motivating to get to that other side of the purified intentions, that then you're like, oh my God, I'm literally unstoppable. Like there's nothing I can't do.
Right. Yeah. If you're someone who's experiencing the contrast, you're meant to hear all these messages to just start to think about, okay, what am I being asked to let go of? It's like very simple. And you can feel into that flip side of the gift that's wanting to come through. Damn.
Yeah. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Guys, please tell us how this landed, and let us know what you're feeling. Let us know what you are foreseeing for the next season and chapter. Come hang out with us, guys. Like, we built this community overall. We built the oasis for this. Like, you are in a space that is very divinely created, and you're here for a reason. And yeah, I want to give whoever's listening like a nudge if you've been thinking about honestly just interacting with us in a deeper level in any way, whether that's like finally sending us a message to share your story or whatever it might be, or connect with us, or you want to join the Oasis, do it. Like, do it. Whatever that thing is that you've been waiting and you're like, tap into your heart. If it's meant for you, do it. You will not regret it. Whatever that thing is, aside from anything Oasis and OOOMIE related, like, do the thing that's on your heart and trust it.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, guys, thank you so much for listening. Reach out to us. We love hearing from you. And if you can give us a little subscribe button, if you're watching on YouTube, it really helps us out. Leave a comment. Engage with the Spotify prompt if you're watching on Spotify. And we love you guys so much. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for doing the work that you do. You're making a bigger impact than you even realize. So feel into the power of that, the truth of that, and allow that to radiate outward. We love you guys so much, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.